TGC Requiem, we are back with some Shadow Abzan. We're on the, the draw here. This is a keepable hand. So if we just kind of lay out our turn a little bit, I'm probably going to lead on Bauble. Based on Bauble, we may or may not Street Wraith, but it'll also depend on which land we draw. And then we're probably just going to Thoughtseize turn 1. So very, very good hand here. And then we have turn 2 Tarmogoyf. So assuming our opponent doesn't Thoughtseize us, basically. Green-white's a little scary. Okay, so this might actually be like a Naya Revolt Zoo deck. So we're going to definitely lead on Bauble. We may even play Swamp here. Actually, we likely will play Swamp. Traverse is good. We like Traverse. We already have Artifact. We're going to have Land, Creature, Sorcery. So we're good with that. We don't need to run the Street Wraith out quite yet, though. So I think we're just going to go ahead and the Thoughtseize. I'm assuming we got Revolt Zoo here. Yep. So Narnum Renegade's a little bit of a hassle. The Tarmogoyf's not a problem. We're going to get a big enough Tarmogoyf to outsize the Lightning Bolt. Burning Tree Emissary is going to allow him to play Goblin Guide and Renegade, however. So I think we actually, just for avoiding how many creatures he can get on the battlefield at once, we probably want the Emissary. Problem is that Experiment 1 either way is going to get 2. Well, if he's going to get 2 either way, I think we want the Narnum Renegade, because that's actually going to be the only creature that we can't effectively block. It will have the Death Touch plus the Revolt trigger. So actually the Narnum Renegade here, either way he's going to end up basically burning through his hand, and either way he's going to get his Experiment 1. No, I guess the second creature is not going to make the Experiment 1 trigger. So either way we're fine, but Narnum Renegade is definitely the best call in our situation. So we have the Traverse will help us get a second creature on our third turn, get and cast a second creature. We are going to have to fetch for a shot because we need a green source for the Tarmogoyf. So it looks like next turn will be a shock into an Overgrown Tomb Tarmogoyf, and then the next turn will be a Traverse into a probably a Death Shadow, maybe a Tarmogoyf, depending on if the Shadow would live through a Lightning Bolt. Alright, so now he's actually got kind of like a little bit of a nut draw, and Hidden Herbalist is going to allow him to cast the Burning Tree Emissary, which is going to allow him to cast the Goblin Guide and the actually only one of them, the Goblin Guide or the Lightning Bolt. But thankfully he didn't also hit his, what do you call it? The Bushwhacker, Reckless Bushwhacker. Path to Exile is decent. They'll set up, actually, they'll pair really well with that third turn where we traverse into Death Shadow. And we're going to actually just hold the Street Wraith here. He's probably going to attack. We're going to block one of his 2/2s. and then he's going to try and bolt it after combat, and we'll just use strike. Oh no, the cycling the Street Wraith isn't going to make it bigger because he's already got a Narnum Renegade. So we are going to basically have to trade off the Tarmogoyf here. And Experiment 1 is the most problematic of the creatures. These are just basic creatures. This one actually potentially gives us benefit, so we're going to go there. We don't actually have to cycle Street Wraith now. We'll just be able to straight traverse. I may just save the bolt for myself, though. I guess we'll have to see. Alright. The problem we have here... yeah, we're done. We're basically dead. This is just too explosive of a go wide draw, and... yeah, that was a mistake. I had to cycle the Street Wraith before I did this. Just assumed that I already had, and it doesn't matter here. Basically, even if I had cycle the Street Wraith, I go down to 2, my opponent can bolt me. If I play a shock land so I get access to path, my opponent can bolt me. There's really nothing I could do in this situation short of hoping that I could play a sideways land and then hope to get another turn to play all of that. But it doesn't matter because if my opponent does any damage with any of these 3 creatures, he can bolt me. So either way, this game's over. Can't even Thought Season take it away because he'll bolt me. So we're just going to have to concede here. Opponent's going to get us on a turn 4 kill through a Tarmogoyf. So we'll be on the draw for game 2. Or on the play for game 2, rather. What do we want to do here? I don't think so this Lily doesn't particularly do anything super effective. Fulminator Mage can be pretty decent against these sort of builds. Collective Brutality, he has plenty of 2 toughness creatures where Brutality looks good. It's possible Lingering Souls may even be decent, though it doesn't sound great. Path. He unloads his hand too fast for us to really effectively want any of these cards. Definitely think... or so many of these cards at least. Definitely think we want to pull at least those out, possibly keep the Miser's Thought Season there. Definitely cutting out at least 1 Liliana of the Veil. I'm also not thrilled about the Street Race. They do turn on our Death Shadows, but the deck gets too wide too fast for that to be great for us. It's possible that we do just want to bring in Liliana of the Veil to buy us some time and hopefully force them to pressure her. In which case we can actually cut another one of these lilies. Could also go with Lingering Souls in that regard. We got all the removal. Thoughtseize, Inquisition. I think we're actually just going to cut another Thoughtseize. We're going to bring the 2 Lingering Souls in. Doesn't feel great, but I still think it's kind of the best we can do. We're actually going to bring in 1 more Inquisition. So keep the life total. We're going to try and attack the hand with our first draw. But beyond that, we don't really want to count on Liliana of the Veil as our removal spell. So this might be okay. It certainly hurts to not have a creature, but being able to rip at the first 3 cards of their hand is pretty decent. We could really reduce their ability to kind of get an aggressive start on us. We just got to hope to draw into a creature, and I think mulliganing to 6 isn't going to be much stronger than this. You know, you might get the creature, but they have 1 removal spell, and it's essentially over. So for a hand without a creature, this is very strong, I think. On the play, on the draw, it's probably too slow. Probably going to use the Heath to fetch for an Overgrown Tomb, and then the Verdant Catacombs possibly for just a swamp. So he's got a Deflecting Palm, something to keep in mind. Right now, Nakatal's the most problematic. I guess, yeah, we can always take Hidden Herbalist in the next turn. I like just going at looking at his hand, I like going at the creatures, because if we can get to Liliana, the Last Hope, we might be able to get her really rocking. Goblin Guide hits the least, and also potentially draws us into our land, so I think we're just going to take the Nakatal here. And then the next turn we'll plan to go after Hidden Herbalist and whatever other creature he draws, or else probably the Deflecting Palm. I don't know, we may not be a Deflecting Palm game, it may be the Path. Probably the Deflecting Palm. He also only has 1 land on his current draw. So he must have drawn a green creature. Narnum Renegade. Alright, so we were going to go for a just a basic swamp here, but now that we have a path, we are going to actually audible into Godless Shrine. And then we're just going to go at the Herbalist. And then we'll plan next turn, if we don't draw into a land, to just path his Renegade and traverse for another land so that we can get Liliana down the next turn. So we're going to path him. Probably could have waited till his turn. That's actually sloppy on my part. That was definitely sloppy on my part. We could have waited till his combat so that he didn't have the ability to cast a red creature next turn. Could be the difference in the game when it's all said and done. So we're just hoping he doesn't draw into a hasty creature here. And Fulminator Mage will be our next turn. But we're just going to Liliana, the Narnum Renegade, and unless he draws into another creature, specifically a hasty creature to get out of Liliana, we may just be in position here to tick up through through the rest of this game, and then zombie him out. And I actually think I'm just going to go ahead and Fulminator at the Temple Garden. Whatever he drew this turn, he couldn't cast, and so we might as well just lock that off so that he can't cast it again next turn unless he draws the perfect land. My guess is he has a Reckless Bushwhacker in hand, and that's why he can't draw, but then that allows us to save Abrupt Decay the next turn or Lingering Souls. Suppose we could also just go Lingering Souls, but I really want to turn off the Bushwhacker. If we end up playing Lingering Souls, he could Path and then cast... Well, no, I guess he still need a land. I guess if he draws a land, he could Path and Bushwhacker to get some damage in. So we're actually just going to go this route for now. We're just going to go ahead and blow that up right away. I think he's maybe considering pathing his own Narnum Renegade just to go get another basic. Yep, which we are okay with as well. Now it starts to make our threats look a little bit better. I think we're just safest here to just hold up Abrupt Decay. Looks like he had an Atarka's Command. Just going to fire off some damage at us. Probably redirect it to the Lily. It does damage to each opponent, so he can't choose to redirect it. And we just really can't fetch here now. We're just going to hold up the Abrupt Decays. And then he's pretty much on a burn plan at this point, as our battlefield's going to get too big too fast every turn for him to get through. And so we just got to hope we can fade a couple turns of Lightning Bolt. We do got to be careful of the Deflecting Palm as well. So I think we might as well just run out Lily. Start attacking the hand. It's actually a pretty good draw there. At this point I would assume he's going to exile, get rid of the path, yeah. Hold on to his Deflecting Palm. Could have actually attacked with the spirits there. A little wasteful not to. The opponent does concede, didn't draw anything to... Yeah, that was a little sloppy on my part there. I think the overall game plan was good, but definitely sloppy. Sloppy play. so again, on the draw, we definitely don't want too many of the lilies. I think we're pretty much good with the same game plan here. It's possible we want to bring in a few more hand disruption spells on the draw, just to give us relevant interaction, but I think mostly we just need to mulligan to the right stuff. Very possible that Ranger of Eos might be worth bringing in, but it seems so slow. Alright, so this is actually a pretty good draw. He does have the path to handle the shadow, but it does give us a line towards a more aggressive play, plus we get the Fatal Push in the opening hand. We can definitely turn on Delirium and get to a quick shadow. Fortunately, it's probably not the best plan of attack against this particular opponent, going wide, but can't necessarily just mulligan and hope to draw all your removal spells either. And even 1-for-1 removaling is just not that great. Alright, so we're just going to go ahead take out that Renegade. See what our opponent's got. Experiment 1. That's actually a problematic card. Nice to draw the swamp there, though, in case we need to go that route. Good, another Fatal Push. So I think we actually go for black-white land right now and get that Death Shadow down. He may path it right away, but we just really got to go for it. Use the Fatal Push for backup. And then we have the Traverse next turn we can use for getting another Death Shadow or Tarmogoyf down if we need to. So we're actually looking okay with this draw so far. Obviously it's heavily dependent on what our opponent can throw at us over the next turn or two. Looks like he's going to path it right away, which is great for us. That sets up actually a potentially really solid next turn. And then we'll just wait to see what we want to Fatal Push here. The Experiment 1 is a likely candidate, but may depend on what he goes after. We definitely don't want the Experiment 1 to get a second counter on it. Temple Garden, nice. Really love to draw like a Tarmogoyf or Grim Flare here. Abrupt Decay is okay, so we can actually just play another removal spell. That'll allow us the next turn to go Lingering Souls. Let's see here. We could go double Lingering Souls next turn, but to do that we have to play a sideways land right now. Which means traverse into like a Shadow or a Tarmogoyf wouldn't allow us to cast Abrupt Decay. I think we just need to be careful to avoid too much life loss here. think we're just going to go ahead and fire off the swamp. Let's go ahead and traverse into a... Do we want to go Scavenging Ooze? That's actually really good. And I think I'm just going to pass the turn holding up the Abrupt Decay. No, we need it. Let's do this. Let's go Lingering Souls. That sets up actually a really good turn. Potential for a pretty good turn next turn. We just can chump with the one spirit this turn just to buy ourselves some more time. We want to make sure our Scavenging Ooze does a little bit of work the turn it comes down. We also could just straight up trade 2 spirits for a Goblin Guide, which actually is not that bad of a trade. Death Shadow, okay, so that actually makes us really happy here. And that actually makes me feel like we really just want to double here. Because our creatures are going to start to outclass him. And so we're just going to use these spirits as essentially a removal spell. If he has to fire off his Atarka's Command to keep it alive, or a Path, that saves us our Scavenging Ooze, or yeah, okay, that's what I'm expecting. So it does a little damage to us, keeps his Goblin Guide alive, but that is fine with us. So I think we're actually just going to go with another Lingering Souls, play the Garden Sideways, and play a Death Shadow here. And this way we'll be able to get 2 eats with our Scavenging Ooze next turn and or Abrupt Decay based on whatever is most relevant. He can't really effectively attack him with the Goblin Guide unless he has a removal spell for Death Shadow, and if he does, it's unlikely he also has a second Atarka's Command. And we're just going to start to poke away with the spirits here. We don't want to run headlong into a what's the deflecting palm guy? So we do got to keep in mind that Atarka's Command can stop us from gaining life. Looks like he's ready to fire off some spells if he's taking that upright. So in response, we will eat. If he goes for an Atarka's Command, that just kind of is awesome for us. And with him only having 2 cards left, we're feeling pretty good about our ability to stabilize here with the Abrupt Decay in hand. Should be drawing into some gas. He could trade like a removal spell now. Alright, ooh, Boros Charm. So I did not expect him to have that much straight burn in hand, so that's a little nerve-wracking. Definitely going for the more burn aggressive approach here post board. If he does not play a creature and he does not have a deflecting palm, we can finish this game off right now. But if he has a deflecting palm, he will finish the game off right now. He's definitely representing that he has it. I think we just got to be smart. Just basically telling him he's not going to get through here. And then what we can do the next turn potentially. We got another Tarka's command. Hope he doesn't have another burn spell. BTE. Yes. Alright, so we actually have this game locked down. He's going for the kill. We're going to kill with the Abrupt Decay, and that'll give us lethal on the crackback. Knowing that he doesn't have a deflecting pulse. No, he's holding it back. Oh, brother. What are we away from getting that Tarmogoyf into a... So we definitely have to put the pressure on him. He has to chump the Death Shadow. He does not have to chump the Tarmogoyf. So he's going to have... He could potentially have one creature left. So we're going to actually attack like so. And then we'll play a Death Shadow in case he draws like a path. But he absolutely must chump the Goblin, or the Death Shadow. So now that puts him out of removal. He definitely has to draw Burn here, or Deflecting Palm. Woo! Harry. Did not think we were going to get there in this match. Harry. Whew, just scary. Scary, scary, scary. Alright, so that puts us at a 2-1 victory in the match, which puts us to 2-0, 4-1 in the league so far. So the go-wide strategies tend to be problematic. Again, we can play a little less aggressively with our taking pain in our mana base with this deck than we do with Jund, because we also aren't trying to, race our opponent back. So basically, if we were playing this matchup with Death Shadow Jund, we'd probably want to Team or Battle Rage our opponent as fast as we could, and so that might be part of our strategy to get Death Shadow big in the first couple turns so that we can kill them before they can get a chance to crack back at us. But in this deck, you're playing kind of almost just a more normal Abzan approach, and they're gonna get some damage in, and they're gonna help us turn on our Death Shadows ourselves. And so a lot of sideways shock lands as much as possible, and then just trying to win with creature quality. So, we'll be back with another match soon.